At the time of this video being uploaded, I have never been a teacher. So, to make a lesson plan for hypothetical students to do stuff in was strange, among other things. However, I thought it would be best if I just used the same methods of learning in the lesson plan that I have used in school. I also wanted to use things that people my age and younger are interested in to at least not make the hypothetical class painful. Using things like Minecraft that students would relate to was one of my top priorities in designing this lesson plan. Honestly, I do not expect most people to care about a very small minority's problems, but having students simulate similar problems that such a minority has in a virtual way would help those students understand that minority on some level. I did not want to tell the students that they should care. I wanted them to experience voluntarily and then determine for themselves whether they do care or not. I want them to think for themselves, otherwise they would just resent both me and the social groups I belong to. I've seen many examples of other content creators, studios, and businesses making the mistake of telling people, often forcefully and/or invasively, to think a certain way. Hence, they are criticized commonly for having an agenda or perverting media with an agenda. I did not want to make the same mistake, but still wanted to achieve some amount of social justice. In competitive games, there are commonly two teams fighting against each other to complete one or more objectives. Esports are still growing, and what better analogy to make with the struggle between Native Americans and colonists than two teams of gamers competing against each other. Simulated violence may not be as poignant as real violence, but it does not take students to experience actual genocide to understand the effects of such an atrocity. Check out the history of 2B2T if you want an example of simulated wars, conquests, and invasions. History is one of the core fields of research that this lesson plan was made with. Much like the other social groups we learned about during this course, many of the problems indigenous peoples have are rooted in the beginning of the state's history. Despite the lack of information about us in the history textbooks provided by public schools, many events and interactions happen between Native Americans and non-indigenous people. As much as I would like us to move on from such atrocities, we cannot, thanks to post-colonial anti-indigenous policies and government practices. I did not want to stop at the Trail of Tears though. I wanted these hypothetical students to learn about what happened to us in the 20th and 21st centuries, what we have been doing up to today, and what kind of future we hope to make for ourselves. So, while I could have just dwelled solely on the past, I want to teach about modern indigenous social figures, artists, and professional experts. The states can pretend that we still wear animal skins and do not have an education system within our own nations, but I will not. Minecraft is all about making your own story, your own world, and achieving your own goals. It is not just a means of expressing your ideas, but to simulate them as well. People have done incredible things with this game. Make a functional computer, develop artificial intelligence, and even house forbidden works of literature from around the globe. No, I'm not exaggerating. There is an actual server of journalists from many different nations made to contain censored articles and books. So why not use Minecraft for the arts? For the digital arts? Even if the hypothetical students still do not care about indigenous nations, the things they do and make inside and outside of the server the lesson plan describes will be correlated with the history and cultures of indigenous nations. In short, the server as a whole aims to express Native Americans. I thought the digital works the hypothetical students would make and the activities they do should come naturally. Chances are the students, if not all of them, have made their own resource packs, Minecraft servers, mods, and so on. They most likely would have made structures in Minecraft with each other that mimicked real geographical landmarks before they even stepped into the class. There are examples of this on YouTube, by the way. I do not want to feed the class information as if the internet does not exist. By requiring the class to do their own research on indigenous peoples, it will be pretty obvious which hypothetical student actually wants to learn about this social group and which student does not. Much like Minecraft, I want the students to have as much control over the assignments as possible. That means I, the hypothetical teacher, should limit my presence as much as possible, but still help the class when they need me to. Again, 2B2T is an example of this. Instead of having some sort of strict guidelines for what the students' works should look like, I want their art to speak for themselves. Just like the research part of this lesson plan, it will be obvious which student actually learned about Native Americans and which did not. I will admit, I am not familiar with learning and physical disabilities, since the students who suffered from them back when I was in high school took different classes from everyone else. I almost never saw them unless I walked past the classrooms they went to. I was surprised when I learned that students can struggle to learn specific subjects, but still perform well in others because of these learning disabilities. If this is the case for dyscalculia, then I never heard about this disability when I was growing up. So, in conclusion, this lesson plan was a first for me, and if I ever do become a teacher, then more than likely, if I'm able to, I'll use this lesson plan. Maybe not in exactly the way I wrote it for this course, but nevertheless, the main idea and the methods, more or less, will be used.